There's a certain heaviness in the air these days in America. It's in the headlines, in our conversations, and sometimes in the silence that follows them. You can feel it at dinner tables and classrooms, on social media feeds. Something about the way we talk to each other or don't feels fractured, and it's more than just political disagreement. It's personal now, it's emotional, it's deep. We've come to see people who think differently not just as mistaken, but as dangerous. We assume the worst of each other before we even exchange a word. People are losing friends over voting habits. Families split over belief systems, and the line between civil disagreement and cultural war seems blurrier. But how did it get like this? How did a country built on differences become overwhelmed by them? To understand where we are, we have to understand them. Culture wars didn't start in the 2020s. They've been simmering for decades. In the 1960s, it was civil rights, feminism, and Vietnam. In the 1980s and 90s, it became about abortion, gay rights, school prayer, and what was called family values. These issues touched deep emotional chords, and they weren't just about policy. They were about identity, about what kind of country people believed America should be. By the time cable news and the internet arrived, these divisions had a bigger stage. And when social media took over that stage, it became global, immediate, and impossible to turn off. Suddenly, every opinion was public. Every argument could go viral, and every disagreement felt like a war. At the same time, something else was happening. Something less loud, but just as powerful. The American economy was changing. Factories closed, jobs were shipped overseas. Wealth concentrated at the top. Cost of living went up, but wages didn't keep pace. The middle class started to shrink. Families worked harder, but fell further behind. And while the culture wars were happening in the headlines, the class divide was unfolding in homes and paychecks and quiet resentment. For a while, these two forces, the cultural divide and the class divide, ran on separate tracks. But eventually they collided. People who felt economically left behind also felt culturally dismissed. Their stories weren't told, their struggles weren't seen, and they started to believe, maybe rightfully, that the system wasn't just broken, it was rigged. On the other side, people who were fighting for social progress saw backlash as ignorance or hate, not as pain or fear. Both sides stopped listening, and both sides believed they were losing something essential. In this kind of environment, politics doesn't become about compromise. It becomes about survival. Winning isn't about passing policy anymore. It's about defeating the other side. And when you're constantly told that the other side is a threat to your values, your children, your country, it doesn't just divide you, it hardens you. And this is where we are now. A nation still rich with opportunity, innovation, but strained by mistrust and exhaustion. The culture wars keep us fighting over who we are. The class wars keep us fighting over what we deserve. And somewhere in the middle, we've lost the space where real dialogue can happen. But division isn't destiny. America has been through division. We've been through civil wars, depressions, social upheavals, and each time we've been forced to ask hard questions. Who are we? What do we owe each other? How do we move forward? Maybe the real problem isn't that we're too different. Maybe the problem is that we've stopped being curious about those differences. We've stopped asking why someone might feel the way they do. We rush to explain, defend, argue, but rarely to understand. The truth is, no one wins a culture war. No one wins a class war either. We either learn to live with our differences, or we collapse under them. And while the media may reward outrage and politics may benefit from fear, ordinary people don't. We just grow more tired, more isolated, more cynical. So maybe it starts with something simple, a conversation, a pause, a little more humility, and a little less certainty, because America has always been a place of contradiction, freedom and inequality, promise and pain, progress and resistance. That's the nature of a big, diverse, ambitious country. The challenge now is to decide whether we can live with those contradictions without letting them tear us apart. Whether we can see each other not as enemies, but as people shaped by different experiences. Whether we can care enough to try. That's not a policy platform. It's not a political slogan. It's just a choice, and it's one we still have the power to make.